Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Trade Talks Live. I am Roger Wakefield, and as you see, I got Squirt in here with me again today. I'm coming to you live from San Diego, and I'm going to say sunny San Diego. It looked good out there this morning. I have been in town for Social Media Marketing World, such a great conference. And the funny thing is, this is actually where I learned about YouTube. So, those of you that have been here before, man, thank you for coming back. I see that we got Mr. Matt McDonough in here. Those of y'all that are new here, this is a variety show. We answer questions. We try to help people out. We bring new things to your attention, and we do some neat stuff. Squirt, how are you doing this morning?
Doing lovely this morning. It's hump day, so always happy. It's all downhill from here, guys. You know, if you're tuning in for your lunch, appreciate you tuning in. Thanks for coming back. Definitely. Uh, we do want to thank League Pro for sponsoring today's episode of the Trade Talks. They let us come in here and hang out for an hour and talk all different types of trade aspects for every trade out there. Leak Pro does manufacture the most precise leak detection equipment for professional plumbers. If you want to check out the equipment, you can visit www.leak-pro.com. Also do a 2-day in-person training. And if you want to talk about that, give me a call at 1-8888-LEAK PRO, and I'd be happy to discuss either one with
How's the weather? I hear it's raining in Dallas.
you. It is raining in Dallas. It's going to be raining all week, pretty much. I look at all the hourly breakdowns and feel like there's more rain than, and that's kind of odd.
All right. Matt McDonough says, Mr. Miyagi of Plumbing and Squirt, how are you doing, gentlemen? I'm pretty sure today will be busy like yesterday. Just wanted to say hello and happy hump day. Go Leak Pro.
Morning.
And I like this. ASAP Plumbing Services tuning in from Jamaica, one of
Love
Randy's
it.
favorite places.
Yeah.
So, Randy, what's going on? What we got talking about here, the implosion of a Pennsylvania coal plant for an AI data center. I mean, these data centers are coming up everywhere. And if you're in the trades and you're not working on data centers, it may be something that you want to look at because the opportunity there could be really good with all this upcoming work.
Definitely so. And look, let's check this out.
Look at you go.
Breast cancer cells
Oh, of course.
multiply because of CDK4.
We need to sign the trade talks up for premium.
Well, this is on it's on I'm on a news outlet here. This isn't
Oh,
actual
yeah.
on
Oh, okay.
YouTube.
Oh, okay. Here you go.
So the implosion.
Oh, wow. This is pretty cool.
Uh this is the actual stacks. So
Isn't it neat the way they do that? I mean, look at these. They're all falling. It looks like in the exact same spot, one on top of the other. Oh, no, that one's separated. Probably not what they wanted, but you never know.
maybe, and then you see the explosions going off down low, causing
Uh-huh.
all this and creating the falls.
Yeah, and I tell you what, one of my favorite things about work was always the demolition part.
Hmm.
Getting to come in and demo a bathroom, demo a kitchen, stuff like this. So I do. I love stuff like this.
Hey, I always said the best part of construction is deconstruction first.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And a lot of people they either they're not in a position where they get to do stuff like that, or their companies are like, yeah, we don't do that. And I'm like, God, that is the funnest part.
Yeah. No, that's it. That's one of the things I did love about retro, uh, is being able to go in and tear everything out and cut it out. Like whenever we did a data center and redid a whole mechanical room, going through and cutting out these big chunks and dropping large pieces of
Mhm.
pipe quick, cutting holes you didn't actually attach, you didn't weld on anything to lift an eye or anything like that. You just cut a couple big holes, hook that chain fall through, and start lowering everything down. And
Absolutely.
it's really quick, so it kind of energizes you as a worker. Um, so about that implosion, the former Homer City Generating Station, once Pennsylvania's largest coal-fired power plant, was recently demolished to make way for a massive AI data center. The upcoming facility will be powered by natural gas from the Marcellus Shale and is projected to generate up to 4.5 gigawatts, doubling the capacity of the original. And this is just huge. You know, it's taking out the old coal plant and stepping it up into a more efficient natural gas plant. And I think doing things like this, it's bringing the country up more to modern uh, and trying to modernize all of our infrastructure that we've got going on there.
So let's talk about the transition. I mean, we're going from coal to natural gas on this. And the shift reflects a broader trend in energy production, balancing environmental considerations with the growing energy needs of technology sectors. And this is crazy that they're going from coal to natural gas because New York's trying to get away from natural gas. They're trying to get away from it on the tankless water heaters and everything. It's like, guys, you understand that? I mean, we use this; it works, and the economic impact is this a $10 billion investment, and it's anticipated to create approximately 3,500 construction jobs, boosting the local economy. Now, this is great for Pennsylvania because, I mean, that means there's going to be travelers going up there, going to work, doing different things. You can't just add 3,500 jobs and expect it to get filled tomorrow unless you're doing things like that. But the energy demand of AI, and they designed this with AI. They're using AI to help answer all the questions for it. But the energy demand of AI is what's causing all these data centers to be needed. And as AI technologies advance, their energy consumption increases, prompting the need for dedicated power sources. Now, I get excited talking about stuff like this because we know about the mobile nuclear reactors. We know about all the different things out there. So there's just so many different things that we're working towards these days to make it. Look, we got to get. If you ever watched The Landman, the show, he's like, guys, look, we got to get off this. I understand, but right now everything in the world depends on it. So I love seeing where we're looking at different forms of energy.
Yeah, like everything that we're looking at, the modular nuclear, that's just mind blowing, honestly. When you roll a trailer in and know that it's going to be able to power a whole data center. Guys, data centers take up a lot of power. I've worked on a couple, and it's not just one electrical room coming into those buildings, it's multiples
Yeah.
that are actually feeding it. So it's a lot of power needed. Coming to some of these different alternatives, creating
I want
construction
to take
and
just a second.
construction.
I just want to take just a second and say hello to Mr. Jim Hacking, Immigration Law LLC. Because if you got immigration questions, go over and watch his videos and see what he's doing. It's pretty good stuff, and really more than just that, but it's what it's all about. So the bottom line, let's move into that because financial implications and new building permit laws. Now, it says Texas has introduced legislation aimed at expediting the building permit process, potentially reducing project delays and associated holding costs. The law mandates that permit fees must reflect the actual cost of administering the permit process, preventing municipalities from imposing excessive charges. Now, I love this because I think they're taking a lot of this from the Texas State Board of Plumbing Examiners because in our plumbing license law and board rules, it says cities cannot charge plumbing companies to register as a business. Now, most of the other trades, they charge them $100, $200, something like that. Texas says, no. We're going to be there. We're going to be doing work. We're going to be paying for permits, but you're not going to charge us a registration fee. So I love that. But what can we expect from, faster permitting process?
It's going to be create a cost savings for sure. Faster approvals can lead to significant savings, interest, and other holding costs. Sometimes you do got to pay that holding fee for that space where storage. You're keeping some stuff until that job kicks off, so that you're ready to roll on day one. Create a lot of cost savings there. Compliance builders must ensure adherence to all regulations to benefit from streamlining these processes. Uh, there's going to be new rules put into place to be able to expedite these processes and things. And guys, those are the hoops that you are going to have to jump through to be able to speed all these processes up. So you're going to have to adhere to all the new rules that come out to follow up. Also, municipal budgets. Cities need to balance permit fee structures to cover the administrative costs without generating a surplus of revenue. So they're going to have to check into that and kind of take a look as this happens and becomes more available. A cool one, though, there was an example. A developer in Austin reported that the reduced permit fees and quicker approvals enabled them to commence construction ahead of schedule, resulting in lower financing costs. Anytime you can start out ahead of schedule, that creates an extra buffer if needed for any project. But the best part is you can complete it that much earlier, which guess what? Every customer's happy to be able to get their project completed earlier than scheduled.
Yeah, I completely get it. I'll look at these comments in here. Denver, brother, it's like Mexico. Don't you know not to drink the water? There's word of advice. Anyone going to the Dominican Republic, don't drink the water. Yeah, he got Montezuma's revenge. That water's not healthy. Yeah, you're right. Randy and I went to the DR a month ago, something like that, and trust me, we drank bottled water every day.
Only bottled water.
Only bottled water.
Even careful about what they actually bring out to pour in your glass too.
Yeah,
you want to be careful.
yeah. So, Randy, look, the bottom line is with these new building permits and stuff like that, it is going to speed up the process. And I like that. Reduced permit fees, quicker approvals. Man, it helps get things started and get things running. So that's beautiful. So safety. The Focus 4 hazards in construction. Now, OSHA identifies the Focus 4 as the leading cause of fatalities in construction. Now, we talk about slip, trips, and falls, and you've got falls listed right there as number one.
Yep. That's it. It does represent the majority of construction fatalities. It's got a higher percentage than any other thing on this list, guys. So falls, slips, and trips. Okay, like I don't want to exclude those at all because slips and trips are what lead to the fall.
Yep.
Pay attention. We always called it 360-degree awareness. Watch where you're actually going to put your foot every step you take across a job site because you never know what's going to sneak up under your feet if you're not looking. Like I was on one, I showed up a month after, well, there was a death on the State Farm project that I'm always talking about. A guy was demoing some plywood that they had on the floors, peeling it up. Peeled it up. There was a duct shaft under this one, and he didn't look down, and he fell right through it.
Mm.
And pay attention, take your time, watch where you're going to put your feet. It really is important, and it can save your life someday if you're doing it. So, struck bys.
Struck by's the one that I've seen probably more than anything, and it's just everybody on the job needs to be careful and look. Like you said, I love your where there 360 degrees of awareness. You've got to know what's going on around you, and this isn't just if you're the mechanic, the technician. It's if you're the operator of the equipment or things like that. You've got to know what's going on around you. And Randy, you said something the other day about needing a spotter just to move like a scissor lift or something on a floor, and that's struck by is the reason that we do stuff like this.
That's it. Like, and like it made sense to me in a scissor lift because when you squat down, say you're going through a doorway, as the operator, you might be able to see in front of you and to one side of you. Well, if you've got a spotter, they can see that other side and what's behind you also, in case you need to back up or reposition, anything like that. It's worth it. Having that extra person, just keep an eye out while you are relocating things like this. sometimes even going up and down, depending on how congested of a space it's in. Having that extra set of eyes can do a lot of prevent a lot of safety hazards on it.
And then caught in between, and this is accidents where workers are caught in between machinery or structures or something like that. And just because, and this really who this normally happens to is spotters, because they're on one side or the other and they get in a bad position. And it's like, look, you've got to be communicating with that operator, but also know where you're at and what situation you're in. Because that's another one that just, I mean, look, guys, we're talking about fatalities here. So this is people dying. These are things that you want to think about and look at every time you're around a piece of equipment or even operating a piece of equipment. I would always tell my spotters, if I was running a SkyTrack or something, I told them where I wanted them to be, where I could see them.
Yeah, you got to. Even like we talked about demo earlier, when you're demoing, that's one of the most dangerous times for struck bys and caught between. Pay attention, know where you're at, know where things are going to shift, fling, because you can't always get that perfect rigging point directly above so that nothing moves when you cut it loose. But when you do cut it loose, know kind of where things are going to go, or at least have a decent idea, because a lot of things, they'll spring, they'll jump, they will move when you first go to cutting into some stuff. And another big one that's actually climbed up, because this used to not really be on the Fatal 4, electrocutions. Electrocutions has climbed up, and exposure to live wires or faulty electrical systems. And, one of the biggest ones that I have heard stories about multiple times is things with timers, stuff like that. Go and make sure you actually kill the circuit that you're working on. Lockout, tagout is super important. You don't have somebody accidentally come by and re-energize something you're working on. There's lots of things that you can do to prevent it. And I'm assuming that's why this has climbed up, is because we've gotten a little careless in those things. Because I used to be surprised that it wasn't one of the top 4. But
yeah,
it's there now. So keep it on your mind, guys.
Well, and you can put an end to these things with regular training. And it's not even just slow it down. It's like, guys, look, how do we end it? How do we quit letting construction workers get killed? Regular training, keeping an eye on each other, making sure that we're all trained. Ask somebody before you put them in a position, say, hey, are you trained on this? And that's big. But PPE, make sure they're using the appropriate PPE. And then, of course, safety protocols. You've got to know how to do any job and every job safely before you do it. And that's why whenever I get green apprentices, I bring them in. Before I ever hand them a tool, I ask them, have you been trained on this tool? And I want them to tell me either yes or no. They know how to operate it safely or they don't. And, we'll see what happens there. New construction. And let's talk about Weatherwood Community down around San Antonio.
4-Star Group Inc. has initiated construction on Weatherwood, a 425-acre master planned community in Medina County, just west of San Antonio. The development will feature 1,280 homes, with prices starting in the high 300s to 400,000. Amenities include a new elementary school, fire station, parks, and recreational facilities. Guys, almost 1,300 homes, a whole neighborhood, a whole slew of things to support that neighborhood. This is booming down there right now.
I tell you what, South Texas is.
It is. It's growing, increasing a lot. Some of the highlights: community amenity plans to include pickleball courts, outdoor event spaces, playgrounds, a pool, and a splash pad. Pickleball's on the rise.
We saw that last week in Utah. 2 pickleball courts at one of our coaches' houses. So it's becoming more and more popular.
That's it. I mean, we've seen them play it in a high-rise building before. I don't remember how many floors up we were, and there was a pickleball court at the club up there. It was like, wow, okay, cool. Educational facility. The Medina Valley Independent School District aims to commence construction of the elementary school by mid to late 2026. So not too bad. Economic growth. The project is expected to stimulate local employment and attract retail development. And it's just going to grow more beyond that because you get 1,300 more families in, more workers in the area. So,
Yeah, I love this. I mean, I love the way it's planned out. I love the fact it's near San Antonio, which San Antonio is such a freaking massive area here in Texas, guys. It is huge. And, one of my favorite things about it is like 100 miles south of Austin. So pretty cool stuff.
yeah, I want to say I heard about somebody that had moved there, and it was because it was, I think it was like Adam Sandler or somebody, is a few hours to the beach or it was a few hours to the mountains. Both directions covered for whichever you wanted.
Well, and I don't know if I'd call the mountains down around that area, but there's a motorcycle ride that I love going on down there that's all off in the Texas Hill Country.
Yeah.
It's like being in the mountains.
Yeah. But yeah, I did. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yep. Go ahead. You got something?
I was going to say, let's move on into mindset growth.
Yeah, because look, daily habits that make great contractors. And it's really funny because I'm at a conference where, a lot of social media is getting in the right mindset to do it. So I think that we've done good. We've put together a great team with Colton and Alex and Elizabeth and Kim and Amber and everybody else. And then bringing in Lisa to help with thumbnails. So, I mean, I think that we're doing a lot of the good things, but successful contractors often share common daily practices that contribute to their effectiveness. And you don't want to just have good mindset yourself. You want your team to have a good mindset. You want to get them involved. You want to make everybody get better. And it starts with having the right mindset for growth. But you've got to prioritize tasks. Start each day by identifying and focusing on high priority activities. And I love this because one of my coaches used to say, you come in every morning and you look at what are the 3 things that you need to do to make more money today. It's either make more money, collect more money, and that always comes back to providing for more people, servicing more people, whatever it is. But look at that. And another guy used to say, look, eat the ugly frog first. Most of us put off the things we don't want to do. And his idea is always, look, you come in, you do that first. And the idea behind eat the ugly frog first is if you've got to eat 2 frogs, eat the ugly one first. Because if you can get through that one, the second frog doesn't look near as bad. So when you're looking at the things you've got to do in the morning, instead of putting off what you don't want to do, come in and knock it out. Get it done right off the get-go. And then it's like, okay, here we go.
Then just like hump day, it's all downhill from there, guys.
All downhill from there.
Yeah.
But another thing about mindset growth is effective communication. You've got to maintain clear and consistent communication with team members and clients. And that's one thing I think at Texas Green Plumbing, Amber did really, really well. She let people know, hey, here's what's going on. Here's the problems we've ran into, or here's how great things are going on. We got our green tag, whatever it is. But that communication is phenomenal. It puts your customers at ease, but you've also got to be that way with your employees, with your team members. That way everybody understands what's going on.
Yeah.
And then next you've got continuous learning. And God, this to me is one of the biggest things on earth. And I mean, look, Rainey and I were in Utah last week. I'm in San Diego right now. I'll be in Austin this evening. It's literally constantly looking at what can we learn to help us grow and being in the right rooms with the right people. But stay updated with industry trends, technologies, and best practices. And that's why we talk about the things that we do here today, Because if you want to be in the top 5% of your industry, you've got to keep learning. Because if you're not, everybody else is, and they're going right past you. Another one is financial oversight. Regularly review your project budgets and expenses to ensure financial health. And a good thing is you don't just review these, you make your team aware of where you're at, what's going on, how do we do things better. And if they don't understand where you're at financially, everybody just assumes just because you sign a contract for a big job that, oh my God, we're rich now, we got all the money in the world. Most most general contractors make 5 to 10% profit. And most service companies probably make 10 to 15% profit. But if they got their systems and processes right, they did things right, they could literally make it a 20% profit margin. And then the last one, something we've already talked about, is the safety focus. Emphasize and enforce safety protocols on site daily. Implementing these habits can lead to improved project outcomes and client satisfaction. And if you hear the sirens behind me, they're probably coming to get me. But, welcome to downtown San Diego. Squirt, take a couple of minutes and talk about League Pro.
We do want to thank League Pro for sponsoring today's episode of the Trade Talks. They let us knuckleheads come in here and hang out for an hour and talk all sorts of aspects trades. But League Pro does build the most precise leak detection system for professional plumbers. What we do, we build two different types of equipment. I've got one piece of equipment. It's a probe. It's a T-handle. It's got a stainless steel rod on that, real durable for probing in and out of the ground. You want that when you're meter to the home service or irrigation lines, things like that. I also build a sidekick. It's a pistol grip style with an aluminum rod, and you really want that sidekick whenever you step into the home, because going through listening to all those valves and listening through a slab, that aluminum rod, it's a less dense metal, so it kind of eliminates that layer of concrete whenever you're listening. Also, though, I do a 2-day in-person training here just outside of Dallas, Texas, where I teach you how to locate lines. I've got 11 leaks under a slab that we go through and train you on. I've got one just outside of the slab so that you know what that sounds like too. But then also I've got a PVC and a cast iron sewer system set up where you can learn how to go out to a home from that double clean out and isolate branch lines under the home to determine exactly sewer lines leaking. If you want to check out the equipment or talk about training, you can visit www.leak-pro.com. Book me for a Zoom call on there, or just give me a call at 1-8888-LEAK-PRO, and I'd be happy to discuss training or equipment.
And I like this. Nightlight says, does training include room and food? It doesn't, but in a way it does, because, we put you up in a good room. It's not very expensive, but we end up taking you out to lunch, taking you out to dinner. Food's not included, but pretty much we take care of you.
We don't put you up in any room. The room is on you.
No, that's what right. We tell you where the room is.
We cover lunches.
And we normally end up taking them to dinner.
That's it. We normally take them to dinner that first night. That's it.
So, yes, indeed.
Uh-huh.
And it makes it fun. Look, we want to hang out and get to know you. We want to find out what you think about it. We want to find out, are you planning on growing a business? Are you just learning this for yourself or whatever it is? But yeah, we want this to be a good experience for you and for us.
Yeah.
All right. Job site communication breakdowns across trades. Is it really a breakdown, or is it we just don't want to talk to each other?
Both. Okay. Like, I know it's a lot of we just don't want to talk to each other. You're a plumber. I know you don't want to talk to no electrician. Come on. Unless you're griping at him about picking up some wire, then yeah, you want to talk to.
Yeah. But effective communication is vital to prevent misunderstandings that can lead to delays, increased cost, and safety incidents. Now, we're talking about safety a lot today, guys, so keep hearing this over and over again. But common issues include unclear directives, lack of information sharing, and failure to document changes. And man, this last one, the failure to document changes, is one of the biggest. I love these projects where they literally have every trade has access to the drawings. They can go in and make notes on them, and it's live notes on everybody's drawings. That way, the AutoCAD people, the BIM people can go in and make these changes, and then it's realized on everybody's drawing, especially if you're using this live blueprint on the iPad or whatever your device you're using. But that's neat. But Randy, there's a lot of different strategies that can be used to improve all this communication, and you've got some good ones here.
Yeah, you definitely want to establish clear lines of responsibility. Okay, you need to define who's in charge of each trade and ensure that all workers know the reporting hierarchy, because everybody on the job needs to know, okay, who do I need to listen to and who do they listen to? It's important things to know. Daily job site huddles. Okay. Morning meetings help align everyone on goals, safety concerns, material updates, and any changes in the plans. And it doesn't have to be a daily job site for the whole job site per se, unless it's small residential or something, maybe if you want, just to let each other know where you're at, what's going on, what the plan is for the day, where you might be. Little huddles, quick huddles like that, get a lot of information out for everybody to know so that they know what to look out for. I love it so much because mainly the safety concerns. Hey, we're demoing out in this section. If you don't need to be over there, don't come over there for any reason. Keep the space clear today.
You know, and Randy, you talk about the job site. The huddles don't necessarily need to contain all the trades. They don't
Correct.
all have to be there.
That's
But I
it.
do love it that when you're on some bigger jobs, they normally do have like a once a week safety meeting that does involve every trade. And that brings up different things. But one thing too, I talk all the time about, we would do our morning huddles.
Yep.
But if there were other trades in the area we were in, we'd always ask them, hey, y'all want to come in the morning huddle with us? Because then you'll know where we're at, what we're doing, and things like that. And a lot of times they're like, yeah, you know what, that'd actually be a good idea. So, I love stuff like that. But tell me this, how is the use of digital tools helping improve all of this also?
You can use different apps to document instructions, RFIs, and punch list. Like you were saying about the drawing, same thing. You can open up RFIs. You can get that quick correspondence. Okay, what did they plant? What happened in this area? You can actually go through, look, and track the information for those different spaces. As long as everybody on the job is actually filling the things out properly, you can actually look out by room, things like that. But also, you want to encourage a culture of speaking. And this is one of my favorites. Workers should feel empowered to voice concerns or clarify directions without fear of stepping on the toes.
Yep.
I was an apprentice, and whenever you are talking to anybody over you, as an apprentice, you're the bottom. So you have to listen to everybody, but whenever they are wrong, you've got to address it the right way. And we always had the stop work authority. So all I had to do is figure out a way to make it tied a safety reason somehow. And I could be like, oh, stop. Nope, that's unsafe. Here, let's try my way. It's much safer is how I would sell it. But really, it saved us time and energy. It was very important to me because I was the apprentice.
And I like this. You've got an example of a real world example where a general contractor in Nevada reduced change order conflicts by implementing a shared project dashboard and requiring end of day updates from all trade leads, because miscommunication incidents dropped by over 30% in one quarter. And man, that can be big. If you can reduce incidents by 30%, you're going to cause less conflict on the job. You're going to get things done faster. There's a lot of things to it that can really just, it makes the whole thing worthwhile. So I love that. Laws and licenses, the apprenticeship ratio laws and what's changing in your state. And I love this because when I first got into the union, it was a 1-to-1 ratio. And I thought that was great. But then when they wanted to come in and change it, it went from 1 to however many you wanted. And I'm like, wait, why don't we just double it? Make it 1 to 2. And the union's like, oh, no, 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 no. We want 1 to many. It's like, you understand how you make it where one tradesman can walk on the job and have 15 apprentices and he can run that whole job. And now y'all can't say a word. I think that we've had some piss poor leadership in some of the union representation and things like that. This one here just blows my mind. But tell me what all you got.
So some examples here. California is generally 1-to-1 with specific exceptions based on the program.
Right.
Texas has fewer restrictions, but safety and direct supervision must be ensured. New York, one journeyman can supervise one apprentice on public work unless otherwise noted. Not
Yeah.
sure.
And normally their union contract will not let you otherwise note that.
Correct.
They want the 1-to-1 ratio.
That's it. And honestly, guys, here's why all this matters. Training capacity. Lower ratios can limit your ability to take on new apprentices, especially during labor shortages.
Mhm.
And that is big because as you have to cut your crews and stuff, you can't keep too many, but you really need more people in the trades. Well, if it's still stuck at a 1-to-1 ratio, we can't teach an excess amount, replenish what's retiring. So it's a double-edged sword, guys. It really is. Safety compliance. High apprentice counts can lead to safety or liability issues if not supervised closely. And this is a big deal. If you get 15 green apprentices on day one of a job, guess what? You're going to be way slower at getting those guys going because they don't know yet. They don't have that experience. So you want them to be safe. So you have to take time with brand new apprentices.
Mhm.
Wage law compliance, misclassifying or overworking apprentices in place of licensed workers can lead to serious fines. I like that.
Now, I've never heard of that. Have you?
No, because I was in the union, so there were apprentices that had their weld certs that made journeyman pay. Why? Because they had a weld certification that proved they could go weld. So I'm torn on that a little bit. But at the same time, look at the knowledge I had when I was a first year apprentice. Well, I had the knowledge of a fifth year at the time, but so it's a little different. I don't know. Your thoughts there?
I say this so many different ways. I've always had good apprentices that I would overpay, meaning I did not mind paying them an extra dollar or two above scale. And when you do stuff like that, it does. It makes it really good, and it gets them more on board. It gets them more involved, and they want to learn more and they want to do better. So I was probably better about overpaying, not underpaying, and that was always a big deal. Denver says, one thing I noticed as an apprentice is telling a journeyman an idea that might be better. They get super mad about that. A good one doesn't.
And
It
that's
really
true.
doesn't.
There are a lot that they feel like you were hurting their ego trying to tell them how to do it. You're just a dumb apprentice. Shut up. I dealt with a lot of those guys. The thing I would do with those guys is try to figure out a way to let them come up with your idea. If you can
Yeah.
sell it that way, they'll jump on board really quick because then it's their idea, not yours.
No. And Javier Salazar says, good morning, everyone. How are you doing? Hope
Morning.
you're having a wonderful hump day. All right. Business training. And this is really good because creating a pre-job startup checklist. And I think this is something that I was able to do pretty good as a superintendent because I knew that I wanted to already have the takeoffs done. I wanted to have materials ordered. I wanted to have things in place. But a strong pre-job checklist sets the tone for the entire project and prevents costly mistakes down the line. So you include things like permit review and code confirmations, ensuring all required documentation is approved and job site signage is in place. You got to get your permits before you start, or you can really get in trouble. Your subcontractor alignment, you want to make sure that everybody knows their start dates, insurance is in place, scope agreements, working hours for each trade, which they're normally get in here and work as much as you can, but you know, nobody wants to work overtime. And then here's a big one, and this is one that is often overlooked on job sites, but it's the material delivery schedule. And staggering delivery times to avoid cluttered sites and lost damaged materials is big, especially when you're on a high rise and you've got to get crane time to get materials up on floors. And I mean, we've literally, man, to see a crane schedule lets you know that the GC is thinking about the job. That way it's not just, hey, look, we need the crane right now. Something just showed up. It's like, yeah, well, you don't have it scheduled. We're flying up the floors. So stuff like that is big. But then safety walkthrough and hazard plan. Identify site-specific risks, designate PPE zones, and schedule toolbox talks. This one here is probably one of the biggest ones because every person on the job needs to know where their muster point is and who's in charge of that muster point, because there should be a list of who's supposed to be there. And we've talked about this with all the modern PPE coming in, being able to track people and where they're at and where are they on the job for that reason. But then your client expectations set. And this is where you review the scope. We talk about scope gap all the time. That is something, it can lose you a ton of money on a job if you're not looking at it, if you're not doing it, and if you're not keeping up with it. Because the superintendent loves to come up and say, oh, by the way, you know y'all are supposed to do this too. And if he does that with your foreman or your guys in the field and they don't know any better, they just start doing it. And one of the big ones is normally like condensation drains. And it's like, sorry, that's not in my contract. That's part of the HVAC contract. And they're like, well, it's pipe, so we figured you'd run it. Well, you figured wrong. And you've got to be aware of what your thing is, what your scope is, but also what those gaps are. Then your design plans, you've got to have great communication channels, not just with the general contractors, but with the other trades too. They need to understand. It's nice as a plumber when you're in there and working with the pipe fitters, or hooking up the unit. It's nice to be able to tell the HVAC guy, hey, y'all remember y'all got these drains. And then they're like, oh, wait, I thought y'all did that. But change order procedures with your customer. Look, nobody likes you to bring $1 million in change orders together all at the end of the job. And if you keep track of these all throughout the job, you get everything signed off when you do it, explain to them why it's being done, get your project manager involved. That way, when you do stuff because I promise you, the general contractor is going to come through at the end of the year and say, look, we don't want to pay you for all this extra work. Does that happen often, Randy?
All the time. Unless you got a really good PM, because then they're on top of it way ahead before it even becomes a thing for you, and it which works out kind of sometimes.
Yeah, it can be tough. All right, so look, let's move over into vehicles, because vehicles is one that, look, we talk about it a lot. And as a company owner, when I run into people they're like, look, I'm thinking about starting a business, they always want to talk about, when it comes to vehicles, do I lease or buy? Do I get new ones or old ones? Do I put a logo on the side or do I wrap it? So there's a lot of different things that come into this, but choosing the right setup impacts your productivity, your image, your fuel costs, your tool organization, but it also impacts the culture of your company. Because if you've got old ragged vans that break down a lot, guess what? Your plumbers aren't very happy. They get really frustrated about it. But Randy, let's talk about this. So what's the best platform for your trade? First of all, a box truck, a van, a trailer?
For me, just truck. But I was a pipe fitter, so I was usually carrying 21-foot long pieces of pipe at times. So I needed the pipe truck, very large pipe rack on it. But I also needed the truck in case we needed to hook up a trailer or tow something somewhere. Could have used a van too. That would have been fine. But the truck was really just easy because I'd do gas runs, things like that for the equipment. So having a truck was what I needed whenever I was running projects. But like let's talk about that. Like work vans, let's say. Okay. This is probably going to be best for service plumbers, HVAC people, and electricians. The pros of it: easy parking, interior shelving, decent miles per gallon. Cons: limited payload and harder to upgrade. And this is true. Like put some pipe racks on there, ladder racks. There's not a ton of other options that you can change and do. A box truck, that's going to be best for large volume MEP service crews or contractors carrying bulk materials. We had so many box trucks for our HVAC sheet metal workers because duct goes every. Some of the pros is massive storage and walk-in access. That was one of their favorites. That's why they did it whenever they were carrying duct. Some of the cons: low miles per gallon, tight turning radius, and sometimes the CDL is required for some of these box trucks. Work trailers, best for remodelers, framers, welders, or mobile shops. Some of the pros: you can detach these from the trucks. Mobile job site shop. Take it out there. You can drop it off, put a lock on it. Boom. You've got an office shop right there ready to
Anchor
go
it
on
down.
site. That's it.
Yep.
Cons: need space to park it. And it's way harder in residential areas, depending on the space and access.
And
But
that's
you've got
that's
to
a
figure
problem
out.
too. Like that's a problem in New York because traffic and parking. It's so tight down. I mean, it is ridiculous there. So
Yeah.
trailers is just it's not a good thing to have there. I've driven
Yeah.
in New York. I would not want to drive with the trailer.
Yeah. I guarantee it. Like, and that's the thing is, it's kind of figuring out what's best for your trade, but also best for your area because it's going to be different everywhere. Like I say, a truck. Well, if luckily I wasn't in a high theft area very often, so I didn't have to worry too much. If theft is a big issue, you definitely want a van so you can hide everything you got. And that's another thought to put things like. Figure out the one that's going to be best for you, best for your crews. Create that structure that you want your company.
I love it. And you talked about the being able to walk in the box truck and get up in there and move around. When we upgraded to the Sprinter vans, we did the extra long, extra tall. We did the biggest vans that we could get. And that was one thing that my guys loved about them is you step up in the back of it, you walk around inside of it. It makes it easy to get to everything. And yet you could still park them. You could still do good things. So, having those vans, and like you said, they're good for plumbing, electrical, and HVAC. But having those vans, it made a difference in the way we were able to get in and do things. So I did. I thoroughly enjoyed having those around. But I think vehicles is one of the deals that literally it can change the culture. It can change the attitude of your company. When we went from driving the older used vans to driving these new Sprinters that were logoed, they had Milwaukee packouts. I mean, they were built to work from. And when you can get in them and walk around, it makes all the difference in the world. And your team loves it. Literally, when you put them in a new vehicle, even the ones that got to take them home, you just had to make sure, hey, where are you going to park it? Is it going to be safe? It's not going to be out on the street. It changes the guy's attitude to get to drive something like that home each and every day. especially when they're branded and they look good.
It does, especially you know, some trade guys out there are struggling to make a rise for themselves because they've got family, they had kids early, like that. I don't know anybody like that. But whenever that company puts them in a nice vehicle, it does. It gives them more of a motivation to actually go in and put the best foot forward. And creating something like that at your company keeps them tied to you, working hard.
Hmm. All right, Randy, let's talk about social media here. Who have you got pulled up here today?
So, Roofing with Revsky is who we've got here, and it's a standout TikTok creator. He's also on YouTube, known for blending real world job site content with humor, tips, and motivation for tradespeople. Uh, why he stands out, some of the authentic job site clips, daily dispatches from electrical and general contracting projects, shows the real highs and headaches of the job. But one of the cool things here is he does a lot of the like tile roofs, slate roofs, the old like terracotta roofs and things like that on his channel. It's not just normal roofs like we see here in Texas. So I thought this was kind of interesting. He does some motivational pep talks, hands-on tips. Those are one of my favorites, just kind of watching the different things he's doing with those tiles. And one of my favorites, watching them cut that slate tile with a hammer and they just sit there and ping rough edge to a straight square line. And it's skill. And I know if I just did it for a while, I could do that too. But it's pretty freaking cool watching them with their little rock hammers.
Yeah,
tile.
their
Roof tiles.
stuff looks pretty cool.
Yeah. Also, some relatable humor from misordered supplies to impossible project requests. He keeps it real and entertaining at the same time. And that's one of my favorites. Like when you have a little fun, that's what social media is about. That's what we get to do. Get on here and cut up you might as well.
Completely agree with you. All right, so popular content themes. What kind of stuff has he done that you're just like, you know what, this is really cool stuff?
Don't be that guy. Trade etiquette rant. Don't be that electrician that doesn't sweep up your wires. I mean,
Isn't
come
that
on,
all of them?
don't be that guy. Exactly.
I think that's all of them.
But I think that's a great way to have a good time. You need a hole in the sheetrock. Don't get the hammer. Don't be that guy. I mean,
Yeah.
you could have some real fun with this, honestly. He does some pep talks on Monday morning. And then, something that we enjoy doing on your channel is reactions to sketchy job site setups.
Mm-hmm.
Sketchy, normal, good, bad, ugly. We like to review them all
All
and
the
have a
above.
good time. That's it. But I just thought it was pretty cool. It was a new roofer that I happened to find on socials, and it was like, hey, this is pretty neat. And I like looking at a lot of the different styles, things like that. But I was always real curious. How do you work with those different materials? And, there's metal roofs, there's tile roofs, shingle roofs. So, I like to watch them all. It's pretty cool. And I always enjoy watching tradespeople their trade.
Always enjoy watching tradespeople what?
Do their trade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that because I mean, the reason I started watching Dustin Stelzer is what he does. And the way he had things set up and the way he actually showed you how to do it. I mean, it's just all kinds of cool stuff. Used to enjoy watching Dimitri. I remember watching a video of Dimitri, one of my favorite ones. Roofers use extension ladders. And he had bought like 7 or 8 ladders, took them in a parking lot where there was like a 6-foot wall in the back, and literally put one end of the ladder up on the wall and the other end in the parking lot. And then he had like some 50-pound kettlebells. And he's literally walking up the ladder, holding the balls, trying to see will they fall? Will they break? And it was just neat to see him get to do that. And when you see somebody testing out product like that, it's like, you know what, this is really cool to watch. So I enjoyed it. It was fun, but that's what I love about watching people that are willing to do different, will do something different, be different. And man, when I see that, I thoroughly enjoy it. So I'm gonna talk about some questions here real quick. It says, Nightlight says, where do you find new apprentices when there's a labor shortage? I think that you've got to put information out on your social media to let people know what it is you're looking for. What kind of apprentices are you looking for? And there's another comment here in a minute about new ones, but if you're willing to hire green apprentices, and I used to look at things like, were they in 4-H? Were they were they a football player? Did they play team sports? Because you need people that can work with other people. If they're one of these people that they just don't play well with others, it may not be a good thing there. So I think social media is a great way to do it because that's going to be close to you. Go ahead, Scray.
I was going to say also anywhere and every
Yeah.
you're at a restaurant sitting down and you see that waiter that's hustle and bustle.
You bet.
Hey, if you got a bit, a way. No, hey man, you do really great in the trade. I've found some in retro jobs that we were doing where I had guys approaching me going, "Hey, how much do y'all make?" Oh, like we're working in the same space all the time, the same amount of hours. Like, what do y'all make? I need to be doing what y'all are doing. How do I learn that? And you open that door for new people all the time. I've had college graduates. They went and joined the trade
Yeah.
because it's like, wait, that's just way better. I got a degree in something that, well, it's not that important. So let me go through that way and make 2, 3, 4x as much. So,
I used to recruit night stalkers at the grocery store. If they were in there humping it,
yes.
I'd give them a card and say, "Hey, you need to call me." Uh, Denver says, people here in Ontario tell me how difficult it is to become an apprentice. Most employers don't want to hire someone new. And I I was always the opposite. I didn't want to hire people with bad habits. So I'd talk to them and see where they were and what were going on. And then can't pay attention says people also don't want to train someone brand new. And I like training new people because then I know that I can teach them good habits, not bad habits. So Squirt, Leak Pro is our sponsor, and it's been fantastic because Leak Pro is truthfully the most precise leak detection system for professional plumbers. If you're a plumber and you want to grow your skill sets, you want to get a new tool to help you grow, learn how to do leak detection, get the equipment, learn how to use it, and you can bring services to your company that most other plumbers can't do. If you're a plumbing company owner and you're not providing this valuable service to your people, if you're a plumber and you can't find leaks, I think there's a little bit of a problem there. So we've put together the complete kit, which is the Sidekick, which has an aluminum rod, which has outstanding acoustics. Then we've got the Leak Pro probe with the stainless steel rod. The rod is still good. The rod you can still hear great through. The acoustics are still fantastic, but it's made out of stainless steel, so you can stick it down deep in the ground without worrying about it bending or folding or over or anything like that. Now, don't get me wrong, you can still bend it if you really try, but it's designed to last, and that's the Leak Pro probe. We've put them together in an amazing kit, 2 sets of headphones, so you've got what you need to work inside, outside, both at the same time, if you've got 2 people that can do it. If you want to find out more about the complete kit, which is the one I completely recommend, it's the one we sell more of than anything else, but go to www.leak-pro.com. And we've built a training center outside of Dallas to teach you how to use this equipment, to teach you how to locate lines under the slab and find them quickly. We also built a training center to where we can teach you how to do sewer isolation, both on cast iron and PVC. And this is something most people don't know how to do. So we built a training center where we can teach you some things that I know. If you want to learn more about the training, give Squirt a call at 1-8888-LEAK-PRO. And special thanks to Leak Pro for being our sponsor. Guys, I'm getting ready to go jump on a plane. I'm fixing to run out of here. I'm headed down to Austin to learn some more. So remember, whatever you do out there today, do it safe. Take care of yourself.
Happy hump day, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Hope to see you back here tomorrow. Get out there and hit it effing hard. Bye, guys.
See y'all.